The best leaders in the NBA today, guys who will do anything to win, dominate, and take over games with the combination of getting the best out of their teammates, stars everybody should want to play with. How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. Some of the very best players in today's NBA are not necessarily the best leaders. As we see in the past, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is not regarded as one of the best leaders, but regarded as a top 5 player all time, while Magic Johnson and Larry Bird are the perfect definitions of all-time great leaders, the ones who's vocal on and off the court, players who shows up, elevate their teammates, having a high display of professionalism to the organization, and wanting to win at all costs, all the positive qualities put into perspective. Let's take a look at 10 of the best leaders in the NBA today. Number 10, Giannis Antetokounmpo. His work ethic getting to where he's at, one of the best players, putting in massive work, humble beginnings to the face of the Bucks franchise, loyalty in his DNA. We've seen it in the finals, using his voice trying to motivate his teammates on the bench, unselfishly allow second option Chris Middleton to take over games at times. Giannis knowing he's not a good shooter, the work ethic and the culture built for a struggling franchise before his arrival. For anybody who started as a rookie, barely playing and an unknown, there has never been a player who's upped his game by that much, developing friendships with teammates, hitting the weight room, and continuing to work on his game, plays spectacular on both ends, at times gives too much trust to Coach Bud, doesn't get rattled, going through the struggles. 2021 Giannis has shown a side of his attitude we haven't seen in past years. In past playoffs, the Bucks would have given up in tough situations. Knowing he's not a good free throw shooter, Giannis doesn't shine away from getting there, knowing how valuable he is to his team, just continues to attack instead of being not available. Unlike Ben, who's scared to shoot Simmons, Giannis with his toughness clearly wants to be great, wants to be the best. Game 7 versus Brooklyn, the perfect definition, carried his team on his shoulder, his teammate witnessing how hard he worked, responds with clutch jumpers and plays their roles to perfection. No tensions with any Bucks players, nothing but positive things for the Greek freak. Number 9, Russell Westbrook. One of the most disliked player in the league, Russ constantly gets hate since his team hasn't been deep in the playoffs after KD left him. His on-court presence and work ethic, second to none, continues to play with a molder every night, shows strong emotions and passion for the game, the type of guy who will always have his teammates back and be on your side when opponents get feisty, keeps everybody playing at a high level, at times when down, confrontational, but only to uplift his guys. Some of his crazy numbers people like to use against him, but we've seen it in the 2019 season. Russ allowed PG to shine, know that he's not a great shooter, let Paul George play his game as the number 1 option offensively. Yes, Russ does take a lot of shots and sometimes too much shots for missing a lot of them, but his fearlessness are some of his strong qualities that most players don't have. Every one of Westbrook's teammates seem to love him, from the Steven Adamses, Jeremy Grants, and Victor Oladipos because of his intensity. Brody deserves credit for the growth of Grant and Oladipo after going to different teams and having them motivated to get better at their game. Even during one season in Houston, Harden was the better player, but Westbrook showed more leadership qualities, more vocal, and the Beard even said it himself after Game 5 of the first round, Russ is our leader. Harden more reserved, a better ball player, but during the months of January through March of 2020, Westbrook was the one who really shined for the Rockets. Number 8, Draymond Green. Extremely vocal, intense at times, hot-headed, and over the top. Draymond's impact to the game, despite barely scoring anymore, cherishes his role, making everybody better, plays D, coaches up the young guys, a strong veteran presence. Even if Green declines in performance, I can still see him being deep on the bench his later years as a player mentor type, will always let his teammates know if they mess up. Many might not like Draymond and some of his antics, but Warrior fans love his energy and impact, so valuable. It's just that simple. The fact is, Draymond Green will one day make the Basketball Hall of Fame and have his Golden State number 23 jersey retired in the future, whether you like it or not. Draymond's impact helped Andrew Wiggins round his all-around game, and now Wiggins with the right culture and effort, consider a very good defender, something he was always capable of. Green's younger days surrounded by vets like David West, Andrew Bogut, Sean Livingston, and Andre Iguodala, all the right ingredients for team success. Green now one of the elders. At times, he seems like he's the one coaching on the bench while shouting instead of Steve Kerr. Every team wishes they had a Draymond-type vocal guy on their roster. Number 7, Nikola Jokic. The Serbian sensation already made history, winning MVP as a 41st pick, viewed as one of those random European guys who's tall and might not even be in the league long. One of the most incredible journeys. Nobody could have foreseen his dominance in the league. Teenage Jokic wasn't even sure himself if he was going to be a legit NBA player, sleeping while he was drafted. Didn't even make his debut till the 2015-16 season. Few months into his debut, replaced Yusuf Nurkic in the starting five. The rest was history. Made everybody better. The passing nuts, low-key rising star at the time. Jokic was actually slept on in the 2017 and 18 season. Developed a connection with Jamal Murray, one of the most fun teammates to play with. The engine to the offense makes the game flow natural. Jokic simply has fun playing the game. A revolutionary player, does all the right things, transform his body as well, stays off social media, lets his game do all the talking. Reminds me of a Tim Duncan type leader. Low-key, his work ethic leads by example. Although at times Jokic can absolutely get heated and get some text, seeing how he's able to overcome back-to-back 3-1 deficits in the bubble, being the best player on the team, and pulling that off requires intense focus, greatness, and enlightening his teammates. Literally the perfect big to build around a franchise. Number 6, Kyle Lowry. The Raptors legend went to an unpopular franchise, being a solid player with the Rockets, the backup to Mike Conley from Memphis to start his career. Lowry just considered a pretty good player. Nobody thought he would be all-star material, let alone become a future Hall of Famer. Didn't become an all-star till age 28 in the 2015 season. Very late first-timer. Although DeMar DeRozan was the better scorer and the greater talent, Lowry was the leader in those mid to late 2010s Raptors teams. Did all the little things, a master at drawing charges, draws his body around and get calls, brings in the Philly toughness. Many players, after dealing with adversity and tough playoff defeats, from getting blocked in Game 7 2014 at the buzzer to embarrassingly getting swept by Washington the year after, getting bounced 3 years in a row by the better LeBron James. All that frustration would have had many stars joining teams with other great players, but Lowry, resilient, kept his head up, continued to stay in Toronto, didn't play great all the time, and had his fair shares of Game 1 struggles, continued to play his style, continued to stay aggressive, hit timely shots, and welcomed superstar Kawhi Leonard with open arms. The 6-time All-Star also had an incredible 2020 season, averaged close to 20 points a game at age 33, dropped 33 in an elimination Game 6 versus Boston in the bubble, and plays like he has the heart of a champion. Number 5, Jimmy Butler. The way he carried his Heat team in the bubble, much respect. Despite getting swept 2021, Miami never found their rhythm. Too much injuries in the short offseason. Butler was at the height of his powers in the bubble. Had many confused why he would sign with Miami, considered to be a weaker team over the Embiid Simmons Sixers. Turned out to be the solid choice. Instantly became the leader of that Heat team. Everyone brought in. Bam got better. Butler and Dragic's chemistry amazing to see. Jimmy also took it upon himself to close out game in the bubble, a sweep of the Indiana Pacers, outplayed the 2-time MVP Giannis in the semis, allowed his teammates to shine against Boston, and avoided being down 3-0 in the final shorthanded, had a 40-point triple-double, Game 3, Game 5, 35 big points, another triple-double. His hard-nosed attitude with Pat Riley goes hand in hand, the definition of the perfect Miami Heat leader, gritty, physical, although his tactics often get criticized with Philly and Minnesota. Butler's leadership style, being a wolf under the old school Riley, a match made in heaven. Number 4, LeBron James. Individually, the most talented player many will ever see. The gifts, complete package, physicality, and IQ makes LBJ one of the greatest athletes all time. Extremely capable time and time to carry role players, go far, and having a chance to compete late in the playoffs. The workload and dedication to show up every big game, always there to play. James never missed a playoff game his first 18 seasons, having to carry mediocre Cleveland teams from the start. Already made the finals his 4th season, proved what he's truly capable of outside of his talents in an elimination Game 6 2012 versus Boston, a defining moment of his career. Always played his hearts out, even when being overmatched, came back down 3-1, elevated his play, his Cavs under control. 2020 in the bubble, got his guys locked in, outgoing, hangs out with teammates outside of games. If he has the right players around him who can shoot and hit timely threes, he makes them look amazing. But the knock on James, he doesn't always make everybody better. Role players like Jay Crowder wasn't a fit. Rodney Hood and Jordan Clarkson were awful playing with LeBron, a lot better elsewhere. Lakers 2021 added 3 near 20-point scorers in Schroeder, Harrell, and Drummond. All 3 had their values diminished and getting heavy blame playing with LeBron. Every third option under James had to adapt, sacrifice their game, and stand out the 3-point line, the likes of Chris Bosh and Kevin Love. Kyrie also didn't enjoy playing with James. After a while, the heavy scrutiny of those third options can be draining. After the Lakers traded for Anthony Davis, many of James's young teammates who they knew were getting traded stopped caring to play hard in the later part of the 2019 season. There's also bad times James faced when getting blown out, leaving the bench early because of a loss. Not the best look, but the success, preparation, and longevity, the championships, makes James one of the best leaders regardless of how his emotions might be when he loses. We also can't forget the times James lashed out in frustration. Number 3, Damian Lillard. The face of the Blazers franchise, the most likable superstar, perhaps continues to show up and show out every single season. Might not be the best of the best, but always prepared to ball. Lillard hasn't missed more than 9 games in any of his first 9 seasons, played through some minor injuries, continues to put the Blazers on his back in close game, absolutely gets insanely hot as anybody. Ever since coming to the league, Lillard always brought the highest competitive showcase to the hardwood, believing his team and ignoring the lamestream media trying to convince him to leave Portland, which is still a possibility if they still can't truly compete for a title. The way Lillard carries himself in pressure moments, inspiring to see. Think about how many superstars in Dame's position would have demanded out already. Unfortunately, not many great players want to go to Rip City. Now with newly acquired head coach Chauncey Billups, the two go hand in hand, have very similar leadership qualities. Nobody has anything bad to say about Dame. Number 2, Chris Paul. I was almost gonna put him at 1B, but everywhere CP3 goes, his team wins. It's that simple.
Oh, I love CP, man. Like I said, that's really the only teammate that really pushed me, like big bro type push, knowing what I got and that I never thought that I had. I think he was the best thing that happened to my career.
Paul, simply a born leader from day one as a rookie, truly cares about the game and winning more than anybody. Being undersized, there's nobody in the NBA as mentally tough as Chris. There's not many players who has the hunger, preparation, basketball knowledge CP does. Not only on the court, but knowing what needs to be done, CP just as hungry on his off days, studies the game inside out, watches every team on League Pass, knows every detail of everything. Many players might not even think about basketball on their rest day. CP elevates all his teammates, already became a top 5 player by year 3. If it wasn't for his early knee injury in 2010, perhaps he would have been even better. Turned Tyson Chandler's career around, David West became an all-star. Even DeAndre Jordan made first team because of CP3's greatness. DeAndre Jordan made first team. Think about how great of a teammate CP3 is. The Clippers were a laughingstock of the franchise. Paul turned them into a 50+ win team every season and competed, although he couldn't get over the hump. The perfect student of the game. Paul's passion comparable to the likes of Kobe and MJ. Houston won 65 games the first season with him, got way better. An untimely injury cost him a title in 2018 arguably. Many times his teammates couldn't handle the heat, like Glenn Big Baby Davis, who gets his feelings hurt a lot. The best defender at his size the game's ever seen. CP also never had a super team, controls the flow of the game, closes out, very efficient and consistent. The fact that Tillman Fertitas had Paul's the worst contract after 2019, an absolute travesty of a tick. Many counted Paul out in 2019. Many thought he wouldn't play a minute with the Thunder, had a 0.2% chance to make the playoffs. CP actually led a less talented Thunder team closer to the second round than any of Westbrook's years after KD left. Very astonishing. SGA elevated his game. Dennis Schroeder had the season of his career playing with CP. Schroeder then struggled with the Lakers after. CP, the perfect mentor.
The way his leadership, I think, is... I play with a lot of players. In my 12 years in the league, I think he's the best leader that I've played with.
What he's accomplished with the Suns in only a few months span. The NBA didn't have a full offseason when CP was traded to Phoenix. All the young guys believing in him and making the best out of themselves. Chris Paul, the definition of a winning leader. Paul also knows how to close out games with his mid-range mastery. As perfect a point guard there is, there might never be another Chris Paul. Number 1, Stephen Curry. The reason why I have him over Paul, because some teammates in the past couldn't handle the heat CP3 brought. There's no teammates that dislike Steph Curry. The definition of unselfishness, what he's built for Dub Nation, from being the laughingstock of a franchise before his arrival into making Golden State one of the most valuable teams in sports. Curry's presence, even in warm-ups, when arriving to the arena, godlike, arguably the most unselfish superstar in this NBA, allowed KD to join the Dub dubs, meshed in perfectly, no issues, no clashing, let Durant shine in the finals. Curry could have been like, this is my team, I want those finals MVPs, let me take over. Instead, Steph enjoyed his teammates' success. How many greats would be willing to do that? Steph never throws any of his teammates under the bus. Even some guys on this list have. The way he worked on his game, becoming the best shooter all time, top 3 handles, and the finish underneath, that type of dedication to nearly perfecting his craft, that's leadership at its highest qualities. Always willing to sacrifice for wins. How many fourth quarters have you seen Steph sat out in games when blowing out teams had close to 40 points? Curry could have easily had higher numbers, but he doesn't care about that as much as winning. Not very vocal and okay to defer to a KD, even though he's one of the best in the game himself. Created an incredible dynasty with Golden State, a strong culture, soft-spoken, nothing but positivity, always smiling, enjoys what he does. The fact that his teammates enjoy doing all the physical work, set hard screens, to fight for every possession just to give Steph a good outside look and even pass up open threes to get the ball to Curry's hands. That's deep love right there. Having his teammates be that unselfish shows the type of respect Curry has. Super influential to the youth and changed the game forever. The perfect definition of a franchise player anybody would want to have. Honorable mentions include John Moran, Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young, and Kevin Durant. I give props to KD, Kyrie, and Brooklyn. Can simply fit on any roster and drop 30 whenever he wants, become instant contenders. Durant more reserved, similar qualities to Kareem Jabbar. Not being one of the best leaders does not take away from his greatness at all, cause you can still be the best player in the game without being a highly regarded leader. Just look at Kareem in the 70s. I also don't consider other stars like Anthony Davis or Kawhi Leonard leaders. AD's LA second option, Drew Holiday and Rondo more of a leader with New Orleans than AD. While Leonard doesn't even say a word, no idea why he didn't sit on the bench in multiple games after his 2021 knee injury. The lack of communication ended on ugly terms with San Antonio. Just a very private mystery, man. A few months from now, Durant could be on this list if he can recruit more guys to Brooklyn, which he's been more successful at doing, dealing with a difficult Kyrie Irving and having James Harden totally change his role for the better good. Kevin Durant might be on this list very soon. Thank you so much for watching this video. Who do you guys think is the best leader in the NBA today? Let me know in the comments below. I talk NBA comparisons, amazing storylines, NBA history, anything basketball that will interest you. If you love the NBA, subscribe for more content, more good stuff coming soon. I love all of you. See you next time.